Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Executive Briefing Series from Talented Learning. I'm John Lay. I'm the lead analyst. This is my favorite series of content because we get together to travel the world virtually and see the world's best learning technology solutions one at a time. And today's no different. We're here with the executive team of Lemonade LXP, and we're going to learn about their business, who they sell to, what their solution is, ideal customer profile, key differentiators, and then we're going to see a great demonstration of all the cool things they've been up to. Lemonade, take it away. It's all yours.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Excited to be here. I'm with another John, our CEO, who will put some added flair to the presentation, and he's going
All
to take
right.
the demo. So we're putting our CEO to the test here. I guess that kind of shows how easy it is, but no, it'll be fun.
Exactly. It
All
passes
right.
the CEO test.
Exactly. So we'll just go through a bit about us, some of our use cases, some of our customers. We'll give you a product overview, a brief product overview, some case studies, some numbers that we've seen from our customers, and then we're going to hand it fully over to John to take over the demo.
All
So,
right. We're super excited because you guys represent uh, well, I'll let you get to it. I won't spoil it, but you're different than any other briefing that our audience has seen, and you'll see why here in a second. So with that teaser, go ahead.
yeah, we're a little niche in this area. So we kind of started off magically, and we'll do a quick timeline for you. But really, it's 1 + 1 = 3, and then we just kept going. So many moons ago, John had a different organization that was around game-based kind of advertising to sell. I'll talk about that in a second. But what we ended up finding by accident is that financial institutions were looking for a way to train their staff, and this type of game-based learning really hit the nail on the head. And they were getting a lot of opportunities there and success there, and so they asked for more. And so out of that came Lemonade LXP. So we transitioned to a learning software. And lucky or unlucky for John, he had a bit of a background in training. So he was able to sort of pull some of that science around it all. Once we launched Lemonade and our customers were having great success enabling their employees, digital adoption, you think about all of the banks at the time that were going through a big transition to digital, their staff were struggling. Like they weren't using their own bank software. They didn't know how to use the software. So they really had to enable them. And once they saw how well it worked, they were like, well, why can't we do this to our customers too? Like give them the tools they need to move forward. So with the push from our customers, along came the academy. And I just realized, everybody, that I'm not moving my slides. So I'm going to try to figure that out as I talk. So along came what we called at the time Digital Academy, which was really about enabling customers along the process. And so we had now an employee platform and a customer platform. And then we knew that there was a way that we could just make lives easier again. And I don't want to spoil the surprise, but in 2024, we really changed how our customers create content, keep content up to date, and really just simplify the process and increase operational excellence across the board. John, I'm going to oddly pass it over to you while I figure out why my deck's not changing.
Sure. Um, yeah, so as Holly mentioned, we originally brought the product to market actually as a digital adoption and growth platform. And so it had a learning experience platform and a digital adoption platform, learning experience for staff, digital adoption for customers. And initially, the digital adoption platform only featured technology walkthroughs. But recently, we have enabled it so that it can actually host game-based learning as well, and video learning and all sorts of stuff. So it's gone from a digital adoption platform to a customer education platform. And that's addressing a need that a lot of FIs have because they need to train customers on so many things, their digital capabilities, their products, financial wellness, financial literacy, anti-fraud. There's so many subjects that they need to tackle with customers, and they haven't had an easy, adaptable, and quick way to do that. So we've brought that to market with the customer education platform.
Okay, so a bit of a timeline on how we got here, and it all kind of happened in a happy accident, right? So initially I'd mentioned that John had run Launchfire, and that was really about promoting products digitally. And think back 1999, this was kind of a new thing. People weren't doing this yet, and it was getting a lot of excitement out there. And as I mentioned, one of the banks kind of caught wind of this. There was a product done for Tylenol quick release, and they used it to enable their sales team on how it worked. And then MBNA came in, and they were asking questions to train their employees. And then MBA became part of TD Bank, and all of a sudden there was this demand for Lemonade. And so Lemonade was launched. 2019, as I had mentioned, Academy came along. In 2020, we had customers kind of asking for content, or they had so much energy in pushing out content, they were like, we need more, we want more. And so that's when we stood up our content library, which has grown significantly since its starting date. We have content around financial wellness, content around bank teller workshops and curriculum. We have it around leadership, diversity, inclusion. And just recently, we enhanced our content to include the compliance training that our friends in financial services need to go through every year. And it is hard, and it is typically boring. And we've turned it into something that is a little more exciting than average. And I'll tell you, we're going through our compliance training as we speak. And it's kind of fun to get stumped along the way. So that was 2020, a new content library. In 2022, our customers again said, you have all this great sort of game-based learning, different formats of learning for our employees, but Digital Academy only had certain applications. So we had the demo, so technical walkthroughs to learn how to use the products properly and sort of practice as you go. We had tech steps, we had video, but they're like, we'd like to put in some more game-based training with our employees. We'd like, or our customers, sorry, we'd like to be able to have different landing pages for our different external communities, so partners, customers, the community as a whole, because in the US, banks have some responsibility supporting the general community when it comes to financial wellness. And so we introduced academies, which is essentially a different view and screen for the different audiences. And then in 2023, we dipped our toe in some AI authoring, and that was pretty magical. And so what we did was, for some of the different learning types, you could take one document and create training out of it. And so magical training went from, taking a little while, as you know, it takes a while to about 5 minutes. You upload your document, it reviews it for you, and it creates some training. But then if you look at what we did in 2024, we changed the game. So we just introduced Insight AI, which goes beyond a simple one document, one AI course, and it's changing the lives of content creators everywhere. And as a former content creator, I'm a little jealous that this wasn't available when I used to have to build content. So Insight AI is sort of 3 parts. It's now taking not just one document, but you can create a knowledge base within the platform. You can import all content. So think product sheets, think policies, procedures, compliance updates, all of it. You can put it in. It's no longer just one-to-one. It's no longer what you're thinking of doing for your one course. It's what are you going to train on in general? And then you just prompt it. Say, I'd like to create a course about know your customer that focuses on ABC. It'll generate the course looking across your entire database at all the documentation, pull it together in a summary. You can review, you can add, you can edit, and then it'll create the content. The bigger part of all of that, and the biggest pain point for content creators, is keeping it up to date. So policies change, as we know. Compliance changes, as we know. Big, ugly documents go out with new compliance. Now, if you update your source material, Insight AI will look across all of your training, identify which ones use which source material, highlight changes, generate the changes, and give them to you for review. So there's no more manually changing. There's no more searching at what courses included this. It's a one-size magic button. Do you want to update now? And then last but not least, we all train. We get it. We understand it. We're on the floor. Oh my God, I have a question. I know I learned this somewhere along the way. we've introduced a chat feature that allows someone to, in the flow of work, I have a customer on the call, I need to know this answer. You ask the question and it'll go again through your knowledge base, make sure you're giving the most relevant information and give you those responses. So that's going to be a big part of John's demo. When it comes to use cases, again, happy accident, we started with digital, right? We wanted to make people digitally fluid, customers, employees, and then our customers just said, yeah, we want to do more. And they did. They were able to turn the product to go beyond just digital fluency to employee onboarding, to professional growth, to leadership development, to wellness. They looked at it as this is great for different departments. Think call centers. Call centers, high turnover, high stress. You need to know a lot of products. You need to understand them in detail. Call centers are then able to, take the training, take 5 minutes to learn in the flow of work. From call centers, it expanded to universal bankers, building curriculums for them, to frontline staff that deal with customers every single day. And then compliance. Nobody in the world loves compliance training. How do we make that fun? How do we make that engaging? How do we make that sticky to ensure that people are following the compliance rules? And so they're like, well, why don't we use Lemonade? It worked for digital adoption. Why can't it work for compliance? So that's our internal world. And then in the external world, once again, our customers went a little nuts. They went beyond just the customer digital. They're doing onboarding, product enablement, financial literacy. Think of wealth organizations training all of their partners, doing partner onboarding, product enablement. And then, as I mentioned, in banking specifically, they're required to go out in the community and train on fraud and security and financial literacy and entrepreneurial support. Credit unions, they do the same thing. That's just what they're about, right? Like informing and helping the community at large. And so by happy accident, we ended up with a whole lot of use cases that we are now being able to showcase, enhance, and add new features to.
Oh, love it.
All right. And then, just because everybody has brag slide, here's ours. We really focus in on financial services and fintechs. And so what that means is really anybody that has frontline staff that needs to be trained. Really anybody that might be in a highly regulated environment. You need to make sure your staff is following compliance, following procedures. We have had some early success looking outside of financial services, manufacturing, places with frontline staff, just because they have these policies and procedures, and this is a way to engage and have them working forward. And then on the sort of SaaS world, we've been successful with a number of fintechs that they've sort of adopted the product to train their internal teams as well as their customers. So they have their own instance to do that as well. So happy accident again, expanding as we grow. Just a bit about us. We're currently about 37% credit unions, 45% banks, and 18% of the other, and growing. We continue to grow year over year and have had great success with our customers. Other bragging moments, I think, is if we look at our G2 profile, we tend to come in at the top in would recommend, in service, in support. So it's great to hear that our customers are enjoying Lemonade. Some of the numbers that we can share with you on case studies or customer feedback, you can see come up here, are clicking through. Come on, Johnny. Oh, no, I lied. We're not going to the numbers yet. We're going to talk about our product. So click through, John.
Where am I supposed to go?
One more slide. You got this. There we go.
This?
Yeah. Okay. So
sorry.
I mentioned two sides of the product, and I'll go into a bit of detail, and John will jump in along the way. We have the employee side, which is modeled after game-based learning to keep them engaged and keep them growing. And then we have the customer side. And if you do one magical click there, John, you can see that Insight AI is here to help support. And one thing I'll point out about Insight AI and our content library is that the content you create and the content you take from our library is available to you for your customers and employees. It's also somewhat unique in that you can download the content. So say that you decide to download a content on the teller curriculum, for example. You have specific things that your bank does differently or your credit union does differently. You can edit our content. We're open like that. So you can download, make changes, and then share it out to either side. So that's kind of a unique flexibility that we offer within Lemonade, that you can download courses. We have customers that share their courses. So in our content library, we have a content exchange where people will also share what they've built with other institutions. And so it's kind of a little bit like one big happy family. But I'll drill in, and John, jump in the next few slides. We'll just go over the product. So we have the Learn side for employees. And that's really about taking learning that tends to be a little long-winded, making it short, impactful, and repetitive over time, right? So you get to space out the learning and grow as you grow. It kind of grows with you along the way. And like traditional, you can have learning paths and skills tracking. But what's untraditional is really that interactive part of it, that learning as you grow. It's amazing how many of our customers say their employees have, wait for it, asked for more content. Never before have I heard that request. Give me more content. They want to learn, they want to grow, they want to kind of compete. There is a bit of a competition element to it. And that practice, that real world practice, the real life scenarios that you can go through in the product, that's what empowers employees. That's what gives them confidence as they grow forward. And then again, we talked about the vast learning library there that's ever growing, thanks to our content community and the experts that we partner with and our customers sharing along the journey. So now diving into the Customer Academy side. So all of that great content follows through, but now it's really about building trust and loyalty among your customers. And in the banking world and credit union, where there's such heavy competition. And so doing that next level delight for your customers, that support, that partnership, as they feel that really does make a significant difference in the financial institutions along the way. This is a way to captivate. This is a way, when you think about, there's no login required. You can have an academy for 12 to 17-year-olds who are just learning to save for the first time, and walk them through that process and help them develop along the way. And like the rest of our product, fully customizable to their brand, their voice. And this allows them to ensure consistency from who they're talking to on the phone to what they're doing on the website themselves. And then last but not least, a little dive into Insight AI. So again, this is really about creating content in minutes, looking across your knowledge base as opposed to a one-for-one when it comes to content. It's about that automatic update. We did a survey with in a recent webinar, and the feedback came back that the biggest pain point for people who are responsible for training, 44% said getting it updated was by far their biggest struggle. And so we addressed that. We knew that our customers felt the same way, especially in the industry where we play most, just because of the ever-changing requirements out there. And then it also offers support where support's needed. And so some numbers, and we got a lot in here, but when customers sort of are using Lemonade, there's a bit of an effect that happens, right? So we saw an immediate increase, or our customers saw an immediate increase of about 25% of knowledge, like right away. And as they continue to practice and continue to grow, they become experts. And by themselves, that expert increases. The employees are going back in and practicing and learning on their own because it's short and quick. And then really we have a 91% product recommendation for our customers. So that's not for us. That's for people have been trained on the product. They're comfortable with the product. They've now become advisors. And so the employees are recommending their digital products more. The employees are recommending different products. And that recommendation just continues to help them grow. Engagement from the employees that are using it is off the charts. Voluntary participation, 86%. I mean, that's a staggering number, a number I would have prayed for. We have completion rates just driving up. People are not only doing it once to get it completed, but over and over again, because learning isn't a one and done, right? It's practice, it's understanding, it's growing. And then overwhelmingly, they prefer Lemonade training to that traditional side of training, whether that be a long form learning module or in class. They really like the fast, quick approach to the learning and continuing to learn over time.
One thing I'd chime in there is recently we exceeded 10 million module plays on Lemonade LXP, which is kind of cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I'll skip through these relatively fast so you can sort of see that, the in-person training went down in financial institutions, which predominantly we're doing in-person training and still are in many situations. And the cost of that and the scheduling of that is quite difficult. Staff attrition went down because they're comfortable now. They're feeling more confident with the products and the services. And so when we sort of did a survey, we noticed that overall, their employees are staying on. People want to grow and they want to be comfortable in what they're doing. They're continuing to, retain the information that they're learning and being successful, not just next week, but next month, next quarter. A lot of that is because they're going back in to learn. And there's a significant cost and savings when you think of the traditional side versus using Lemonade, whether that's creating long-form SCORM or staffing for in-house training.
These two stats too are before bringing Insight AI on. So
Wow.
the 83% reduction in content authoring time was our old AI, which is not nearly as efficient as the new. And the reduction in training, cost of training is before Insight AI, which is going to, it'll probably multiple X what the savings were from original Lemonade. When you see it, you'll see why.
All right, we have a few case studies for you, and we'll share them on the site as well. But here's just an example. This is a call center, and they were really struggling with stress attrition. They had it's a call center that manages multiple credit unions, and so it's a lot of software to learn.
What they actually are is they're a payments QSO that has outsourced call center for credit unions. So they support a ton of different banking platforms for different customers. So they could have calls coming in from customers or members from any credit union and have to support multiple different types of technology. So the challenge for them is extremely high. And as a result, attrition is high because it's a high stress job. People calling in saying, how do I use this? And you're like, holy crap, I don't even know how to use it, so it's a tough job. So that's the context of this one. And they came on as a pilot. We drove some pretty significant results. And then it got rolled out to the broader organization. And they then, PSEU then bought Co-op, which was their biggest competitor in the QSO payment space. And so now they're one very large organization that has probably 6,000 credit unions, and they combine their contact centers, and they're all on Lemonade LXP. And you can see the numbers. Time when they hire new agents, which is of course part of the game, we're able to get them ready 50% faster. We've been able to reduce handle time, and they thought they had optimized handle time to its max, but we were able to drive an extra 5% out of that. 52% reduction in post-call work, which is amazing. But the best thing is their attrition in the first 6 months was massive. And we've been able to cut that and then cut overall attrition by about 56%. The return on their investment is in the neighborhood of 20 to 30x. So it's
Is
been
that it? Is that it? Just 20 to 30x?
Yeah, no, we were slacking on that one. All right, Holly,
That's really cool.
Oh, I was going to say you're just so great at the flow. You can just keep going. Similar. So this is very similar to many of our customers, right? Limited training resources. There's always a limited training resources. One of their bigger problems was messaging, right? So if you think across the branch, they're all kind of saying things a little bit differently, having the trainer come at different times. And so that consistency wasn't there. And they really needed to make sure that they understood their product. So you're thinking of the banking system, you change out your software, people need their money. People need to know how to find it. And so they needed to make sure their staff knew exactly how to answer the questions when. And so they rolled out Lemonade and immediately saw an increase in the growth across. Staff were really satisfied with it. It wasn't like sitting through long training sessions. They were short, quick, and they could get up to speed. And overall, their confidence in advising on products and responding to customers shot up beyond. Just because of their knowledge, because they were confident, because of the stress less, they were able to be successful.
Awesome.
We can move along here. I think that one might have a special click magically appearing later on. This was a company that rolled out a whole new system, Q2, and they knew it was a massive amount of work ahead of them. And they rolled out Lemonade, and they worked on Lemonade at the same time. They did a number of tech walkthroughs to make sure their team knew how to use it. And a tech walkthrough, when it's internal, is I'll show you, now you do it. And so that helped them build the confidence along the way. And as you can see, the time to train was radically improved. Their overall call volumes went down. And one of the sort of funny part is when the software company came in to do the training, they're like, you guys are already trained. You don't need us. And so they were able to sort of smooth over on that training side of things.
Yeah, for a bit more context, Q2 is a digital banking platform, and often the tech providers, so the Q2s and the Alchemies and those folks in the world, will offer training as part of their implementation, but that typically is instructor-led. They send an instructor in, they train the trainer, and the trainer then trains other people, and of course, lots is lost in the telephone game, but the more important part is it takes months. And what we've found is that financial institutions who are implementing new technologies don't love the training that's being provided by their tech providers. The tech providers are building great tech, but they don't really focus on training and customer support. And that's where we've been able to help these FIs out. They use, like, we've been trying to get the fintechs to partner with us because we're really the ultimate implementation platform for them, but been hard to get them to see the light on that. But their customers see the light, and they're hiring us to do this. And in the case of Q2, being able to accelerate their implementation by 4 months is a massive advantage because they've spent a ton of money implementing this technology and they want to get to value quickly. And the perplexing part for us is we try to sell to the fintechs, and the fintechs, many of them get paid an implementation, but also a percentage of the transactions. So they have a vested interest in getting to market faster, which we're able to do, but we've still had trouble getting them to see the light and partner with us. Maybe one day that'll change. I'm a relentless nag, so we may be able to get somebody going, but that's sort of the context of that. And when you launch new technology as a financial institution, you know a few things are going to happen. First, staff are going to have to learn about it, but you're also going to disrupt your customers or your members. And so you're going to get a flood of calls to your contact centers. You're going to get a flood of inbound inquiries to your chatbots and so forth. What we're able to do is arm that frontline staff with the knowledge and confidence they need to promote and support the technology that they've recently launched. We can even integrate into chatbots, so when a customer says, hey, I don't know how to use the new payments thing, it spits out a link to a technology walkthrough so they don't have to call the contact center and they can solve their own problem. So reducing call volumes, talk times, all that kind of stuff through new implementations, which drives a huge operational efficiency through the implementation and also accelerates adoption of the technology. So it's that use case of new tech upgrade or new tech implementation is a common one for us, and one that we are uniquely positioned to solve. There's no other learning platform that has the ability to quickly generate content, also quickly generate technology walkthroughs, and also have a customer-facing academy to reduce support burden on the financial institutions. There's just no other platform that does that. So we're uniquely positioned for that particular use case.
Wow.
I feel
cool.
like, John, this might be a great time because we have the opportunity to share some of these case studies with John as well. Let's dive into the demo.
Okay,
Let's
sure.
dive in. And public service announcement, G2, other financial fintechs. You guys can contact me on the side. We'll have a discussion, and I'll help you see the light.
All right, demo time. Let's jump over. Okay. So what you're looking at here is the brains of Lemonade LXP, and it's called Insight AI, which Holly alluded to in her deck. Think of it as the knowledge center for Lemonade LXP. And so what it gives FIs, who are, by the way, a little bit reluctant about AI, it gives them the ability to leverage AI in a safe and secure way. We work with 90 some odd financial institutions. We rolled out AI authoring a while back, and there was some reluctance to adopt. So we listened to their concerns, and their concerns are about privacy, not sharing out information that might be intellectual property. Their concerns are about not disseminating inaccurate information, and their concerns are about security. So with Insight AI, a financial institution can create a private, secure data knowledge base at one click of a button, and it creates a bucket into which they can put content in virtually any format. So first thing here, I've created a collection. Now I go to the files section, and this is where I can drag and drop source material in virtually any format. You can see all the formats here. It can read virtually anything. These are all the documents that I've uploaded into it. Among them are some documents about universal teller, about compliance information, and so forth. And so I've uploaded all this stuff. I hit synchronize here, and it synchronizes into a consolidated database. Then I go over to blueprints, and this is where the magic happens. So I mentioned I had uploaded some stuff about universal banker. So here I'm going to create, so I would go here and I would create a collection blueprint. I've already created it for the purposes of this demo. So I'm going to go to universal banker here. So I just name it universal banker, and I give a collection description. Then I go and I say create a step blueprint. So the first one I want to create is just an article that synthesizes information, any information we have about universal banker. So I write my prompt. That's where the real magic happens. As you learn, you'll get better and better at prompting, and your content will get better and better. So I prompt it, click save, and then I go to synthesis. And what it does, it reads every piece of documentation that's related to the subject matter, consolidates it, and writes a summary of that information. I can even go and look at what it referenced. In this case, it only referenced one document, and that's because I didn't do a great job of prompting it. And then I go to author. I click author with Insight AI. It will automatically author an article or a blog post, essentially, or an introductory text about that content. I then went in and I asked it to create several different versions of game-based learning, again, authoring with Insight AI, and synthesizing information from multiple formats. So right now, it's actually authoring content for us. While it does that, I actually had authored a bunch of different content, which I'll go over and show you now. So here is the courseware that Insight AI authored in a matter of minutes. The first thing I did was I took the script that it created, or the article that it created, and I put it in a partner, a third-party partner program that creates video, AI-based. And so in about, I don't know, 5 minutes, I read all the source material, wrote a script, and put it into this engine and created my course introduction.
Hi there. You're embarking on an exciting journey into the world of universal banking. As a universal banker, you'll be the go-to person for all things finance.
I won't make you go through the whole thing, but that's how fast it is to create video content to introduce your subject. So that's the first piece. Now, the next piece is some people prefer to read. So Insight authored an article about universal banking. It introduces the subject, explains what a universal banker is, why it matters, the changing face of customer service, skills that you need, the art of communication, product knowledge, product solving, and then what a day in the life looks like, and how you can become a universal banker. And in the end, it even recommends an exercise to do. So all that was written with AI in a matter of seconds. So now that we've introduced all the content, we can get into some fun, some game-based learning. So Lemonade authored this, again, in minutes, based on the content. So it's long-form content, which often you'll have as training, but people just tick a box, say they read it, and they're done with it. What this does is morph it into a game where there are 9, in this case, 9 mistakes, and I got 5 lives to find them and correct them. So I see my first one is here. So universal bankers have become increasingly. So there it is. I fixed one. I won't go through all the rest, but I have to identify all 9. What does this mean? It means I need to read this content and actually understand it. I can't just tick a box. So we're driving comprehension, and we're making it a little bit more fun for people to learn this stuff. So that's one bit of game-based learning. The next piece is it authored a very simple true or false game to test my knowledge. Super simple. You got 5 lives, you got all these questions, and you have to figure it out. What's really cool is Insight AI authored the questions, but it also authors these feedback loops, which are teachable moments, help guide me towards the correct answers. So it gives feedback. We sort of treat mistakes as opportunities to teach. Next piece, it actually generated a crossword puzzle, wrote the hints, created the puzzle, did all that stuff, multi rounds, and here are all the hints, and I just got to solve the puzzle. And these are all value propositions, key benefits, information about universal banking. The last piece is, and this part is, I actually couldn't believe it when our CTO, Alex Lemaire, who created all this, showed me this, but because this was the hardest thing for our customers to create, a virtual customer interaction or a role play scenario. These take days to author, minutes now. So this woman comes in and says, I'm interested in accessing my credit score. Can you help me? And so I have to guide the conversation. So I could say, sure, no problem, just give me your ID. But a way better thing to say is, may I ask if you're considering applying for a loan or mortgage in the near future? So it's teaching the person to spot that opportunity. The fact that this person asked for a credit score should trigger me to start talking about product and guiding the conversation to the point where I don't just satisfy the customer request, but I give an opportunity to showcase the products that might be useful for them in the stage of life that they're in and the financial situation they're in. So this stuff takes, as I said, days to create. Now it takes minutes. It's crazy how fast it is. So that is the learning experience side. There's more to it. We position the entire experience as a game. This looks like games you would sort of addictive mobile and social games where you've got a small financial institution and you have to grow it, and you grow it by doing well in training. I won't go into detail about this. What it does is position training as fun instead of a chore. And that's how we drive that 86% voluntary participation rate and keep people coming back. And then, of course, it's got all your courseware once you're in. It's got a certifications module, so you can get staff certified on specific content, and you can you can set required grades, you can set active periods, renewable periods, it's all there for you. It's got social tie-ins, so I can see colleagues and follow them and so forth. It's got your standard gamification stuff like leaderboards, where I can see what groups I'm part of and how I rank in each of the groups. It's even got a rewards platform baked in where you can run little contests. That's the learning experience side. What's truly unique about Lemonade LXP amongst, well, really Insight AI is pretty unique. Synthesizing content and authoring is pretty crazy. But what's unique about it as well is this customer-facing academy. So here is the customer-facing academy, and what it has is content. When I author content in Insight, I can say, I want to distribute that to my staff only. Or I can say, actually, I want to distribute that to my customers. So in this case, for example, we rolled out Zelle. We're a financial institution, rolled out Zelle as a payments solution, and I want to teach customers how to use it. I know when they go to send money, I don't want them calling my contact centers. I much prefer that they help themselves if they can.
First, select Send from the menu.
So you can author these technology walkthroughs literally almost as quickly as with Insight. It's got AI voice that does it automatically for you. Whatever you type as a prompt, the AI guy says it for you.
Choose the recipient, John Smith.
And it just walks you through how to
Enter
do
the amount of
transaction.
$10.
So, Digital Academy also has what we call channels. And so each channel can be different. So imagine this is an online banking channel. So if I have a new customer joining my financial institution, I can send them a link to our online banking platform so that I introduce the technology from day one. I try to make them a digital customer right from the get-go. Or I might want to use Digital Academy for financial wellness and literacy to teach and support my customers. Well, here it is, all the content that I created with Inside AI, but it's here non-gated, so it's easy for my customers or my members to go and access. And it's got the videos, it's got game-based learning, it's going to have tech walkthroughs if you want. All easy content for customers to access that allow you to educate them on. It could be your products, could be your digital capabilities, could be financial wellness, financial literacy, anti-fraud's a big one. We actually have a whole library of content around fraud. You can educate them around mortgages, all sorts of different content, whatever you can dream of. So that's kind of what's unique, is the ability to quickly generate content using AI based on your source material. You can review it too. We always encourage in the loop moderation, and then decide where you distribute it. Distribute it to staff, distribute it to members or customers. And then, as Holly mentioned, when your source material changes, it'll alert you that you need to regenerate your training. And then you regenerate it literally at the click of a button, just as fast as you created it the first time. It's also backed by a pretty robust reporting and analytics platform. And it has, as Holly mentioned, a content exchange that I would show, but it's ugly. And we are just about to roll out a new interface that organizes the content into collections, kind of like you're using Netflix or even better, like Apple Music, where you'd have an album and then all the songs and you can download the whole thing. It's going to look like that. It's coming out in the next week or two. And that will make our content exchange extremely user-friendly. And then the other beautiful thing is, because we have the capabilities in-house and rapid authoring, we will be adding more and more content related to the various industries that we service right now, banking, credit unions, fintechs, wealth, mortgage, insurance. Those are the key ones. But imagine you come from a new industry and you got content issues, we got your back because we got Inside AI and we can pump out stuff pretty quickly. So that is a quick tour of Lemonade LXP, our customer academy, and Inside AI, the brains that power it all.
Outstanding. Love it. Absolutely love it. The whole time that you're talking, I'm thinking, okay, what would be the alternative for these banks, or for these financial or credit unions or financial institutions? What would be the alternative if there isn't this? And the alternative is they got to figure it all out on their own. Is that the alternative?
Yeah, well, in a lot of cases they have learning management systems.
Yeah,
The challenge is learning management systems aren't tooled to teach tech. And
yeah.
banks, digital transformation, it's kind of an overused word, but here's the truth. Every bank realizes they need to become a tech company or they won't be around in 5 years.
Well,
So the leaders are saying, okay, we're going to digitize, and we need to make sure that our customers are using those digital channels. Otherwise, they're going to migrate over to other banks that have great digital channels. And so the leaders look and go, okay, well, I got to train my staff on it because I got to promote it. And they look over at their LMS and go, oh no, that's not tooled for teaching people how to use technology. In a lot of cases,
yeah.
the learning experience isn't all that great either. So they find themselves without the right tool set for the journey that the financial institution is on, going from that brick and mortar to a fully digitized technology company. Because what they want to do is they want to turn branches into advisory and keep the transactional stuff in digital, so that they can focus on helping customers better their financial lives in the in person in the branch experience, but they can tackle all that digital transactional stuff with digital capabilities through those channels. So that's kind of the challenge they're going through. And it's interesting because there's other companies, other industries that suffer this exact same thing. You think of health, same challenge, trying to get people over to use technology. The other one I think we're a really ideally suited for is software companies, SaaS companies who
That's thinking the same.
have to go through implementations, right? And it's like, how do we train our customers to make sure we don't become shelfware? Like there's just no other learning platform that's tooled to do those things. And not only are we tooled for it, it's rocket fast to create the content, which is a pretty big advantage.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you asked alternatives. We were talking to a prospect, and the cost of them to get some videos done that we're going to do the walkthroughs for them. And think of every time your product screen changes. I think I don't want to be making this up. I think it was about a cost of 3 videos was the cost of Lemonade, and that was just 3 videos. So that wasn't all of the other stuff.
I believe it.
The alternatives are there, but they're not easy. They're not flexible, and they're not cheap.
Yeah. Well, the alternatives, as it turns out, are what I cover full time in my real life here at Talented Learning, because I think, John, you hit it on the head here. It's every industry, virtually every industry would have these same challenges. And so the kind of my intent of that question of like, what's the alternative? The alternative is what I look at every single day. You get an LMS, you figure out where to source your content, you figure out where your authoring tools are coming from that LMS or from a third party. You figure out what you need to build and you start building it, and you hire teams and you outsource, and you go through a whole big process, which everybody I know goes through. And this is the reason that I highlighted your solution years ago when I first saw it, is because you're the first solution that I saw says, okay, let's take an industry, and it's not the only one, but let's take the financial industry to start, and let's just solve it all. Let's solve the authoring, let's solve the employees, let's solve the customers, let's solve the digital adoption. Let's automate and bring it all together and solve specifically for that industry and give that to one, to another, to another. And I thought I was smart years ago. I think it's smart now as I see how this is growing and just how easy this would be to sell. The recovering LMS sales guy in me thinks this would be easy. This would be a lot easier than saying, imagine building all this up in 2 years versus saying, hey, it's ready here.
Yeah.
Look at this right now. That's really cool stuff. Love it.
You highlight a really interesting thing there. So one of the things we're hearing from the executive branch at financial institutions is that they're looking to clean up their P&Ls to get rid of niche softwares, right? So they're saying, like, if it only does one thing, we don't really want to pay for that. So this is a cyclical thing, right? Like it'll be like, oh, we want one software to do everything, and then eventually 3 years later, you're like, well, actually, we wouldn't. This is so good niche, it's better than the one that does everything. But right now, we're in that consolidation stage, and so the amount of things that you can stop licensing when you have Lemonade, like you don't need a learning management system, you don't need to buy content, you don't need an authoring tool. You can shift your L&D team, instead of focusing on reading source material and authoring content, they can focus on learning paths, on making your teams better, on figuring out how to help people succeed in their careers instead of being bogged down and talking to SMEs and compliance people to create training content. The chatbot, I didn't even show you the chatbot. Holly's going to be mad at me after the call, but there's a chat that I can ask questions and it synthesizes answers from multiple documents. So now your knowledge base, you can just use Lemonade as the knowledge base. You can use that chatbot to support staff in the flow of work. There are so many different services and technologies that FIs are currently licensing that they can stop using with just one license with Lemonade. So I think that's for where we're at in the subscription economy and how people are trying to reduce that. We're taking notice of that and trying to make sure that we're offering something that can solve many problems from one central spot, because that's kind of what people are looking for. Our big thing is to try to listen to our customers. We have a thing called Product Board, And what it does is it invites customers to submit features. And so they document a feature and they'll say, I wish Lemonade could do this. And then people can vote on it. Other customers vote on it. And so when we do our roadmap planning, the first thing we look at is product board and say, well, what got the most votes? We may occasionally have something like Insight AI that we say, we're going to bump this a little ahead of all those other things that people wanted, because we know, well, frankly, people don't think about this all day. They couldn't have dreamt how amazing this thing is. So we did that. With that usurped the roadmap. But generally speaking, our customers' features make it to the top. And so we're really, a big part of it is listening to your customers and building what they want. So it's kind of like you have a dev shop in-house. If your feature gets voted enough, there's going to be the guys will build it for you, and that's us.
That's great. That's great. Well, we're at our time, folks, even a little bit after, but this was a great, thorough demonstration and discussion about what's different. Listeners, I always say that's at the end of just about every show, but now you see why it's my favorite series of content, because where else are you going to learn stuff like this? Nowhere, as it turns out, unless you find it on your own. So this is a great application, Lemonade team, John and Holly, of really taking a problem and solving it. And I still, I do this every day. I meet new systems every single day. I have not met anybody that's approaching it like this, like you guys. And so, certainly not in your industry. And as I try to think across other industries, there might be one I kind of think of in real estate that's taken maybe a somewhat parallel approach. But you guys are marching to your own beat here and solving problems like nobody else. The integration of the AI, the technology, a part of it is just icing on the cake, I think. I think the bigger part of it is just your definitive understanding of the industry and helping them solve their problems. And now bringing the technology is just awesome. So here's my advice: keep doing what you're doing it faster, and keep screaming it from the mountaintops. Just here's some unsolicited advice. Put some of this stuff into an ROI calculator of these different systems, and all these proof points that you have of driving this down and driving this up. Put that into some calculator. Boy, it'll be even easier to sell this for.
If we only had someone
customer.
in marketing, John, we'd do that.
That's right. We need some marketing.
Sorry, the bus is on top of me right now.
All right. Well, excellent. Listeners, thanks for tuning in to another episode. Lemonade, thanks for sharing everything, and look forward to seeing everybody on the next. Have a great day. Thank you.
Talk soon. Take care.